Hola, minasan. Welcome to the show. Today we're gonna be talking about Doctor Stone. Doctor Stone. Yes, Doctor Stone. It's a very interesting world build in that it is a rebuild the world build. It's a rebuild world. It's very interesting. The premise is very simple. The world had a post-apocalypse. Everyone turned into stone somehow, and our main character Senku Ishigami snapped out of it along with his best friend Taiju, and together they're trying to solve the crisis basically. They woke up 3,700 years later, 3,700 years later, and Senku, who is a total master genius scientist kid prodigy, he's like a total prodigy. He is using the science that he learned to try and find the solution to destoning everybody, turning everyone out back from stone, and rebuild civilization in the whole process. Now, this is actually a very tough one to do from a writing standpoint, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong in the world built because there's a lot of logic that needs to be applied, especially when you're trying to use hard science, which is what this show and the manga itself does. It uses the very extreme logical form of science. Like, you can literally build this. You know what they show on display. You can actually create it, although they warn you not to do it because some of the things that they're handling, well, they literally turn into dangerous gases that can literally kill humanity. War grade stuff. But they also do other interesting things like the old classic magnet with a leaf and a cup of water, and I think with some kind of and the magnet. If you find a magnet rock and you put it there and you create a compass out of that. The little things like that. But what Senku does is he literally builds he builds crazy science stuff, actual stuff, communication devices, vehicles, you name it. It's pretty crazy, but he's doing it with good old classic Gilligan Island and MacGyver tech. He's making radios out of coconuts and giant electric generators with only a toothpick and a piece of dirt. That's very fascinating. But what's fascinating is trying to rebuild the world, because the question is, how do you not only find a way to get everyone on stone, which they solved. It's solved. They just got to get the things together. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to find out the source so that way they can rectify it. So that way, when they use the reversal effects, they don't have the thing to do it all over again. The upcoming and Doctor Stone's next season is coming up in I think it's this week or next week. So that's why I'm bringing this up now. But basically, this is not something of an easy build, because you're talking about rebuilding civilization, and the people that didn't get turned to stone went 3,700 years of generations disconnect, having zero idea of what technology is. They do know that there was a world. Some of them do know because I believe it was Rui. She's the head priestess or the chief. She's the chief. She's the head of the village. Let's leave it at that. She's the head of the village, and she learned what was known as the Thousand Tales, which was told by Senku's father, 3,700 years earlier, passed down generation to generation about civilization in the past and the people who returned to stone and everything. So the village that Senku comes across is already aware of what it is, but they don't have the tactile experience, the mental and physical experience, of what that was like living in the world. They just only have old tales. Um, but they were waiting for, but Ruby was waiting for that day to come. All of the priestesses who had studied the 1,000 Tales had waited for that day to come for Senku to be awakened and start helping out. So Ishigami Village, which was the, which is funny. It's called Ishigami Village, but now Senku's introducing this but it's basically his distant relatives 37 years removed what civilization was like and what technology was like. At the very least, he's doing it with primitive stuff because he doesn't have the factory resources, manpower, to modernize the world with the modernized tech. He's using he's doing what he could. But his opponent, who ended up becoming his rival, Tsukasa, didn't like the old world, and he wanted the world to just be all about not having tech. I was gonna say I was gonna say communism, but no, that wasn't communism. He just wanted to keep the world primitive. No science, no technology, no nothing, because technology was what led to people, led to this one old man to punch him in the face for collecting seashells on a beach. I'm sorry, I have to simplify it like that because it's kind of a dumb reason for him to, break all the stones of innocent people who had absolutely nothing to do with the old man that punched him in the face because he was collecting seashells for his dying sister. I think that was very flimsy approach, a very flimsy reason to do that. But nevertheless, it was a battle between science and nature, but it didn't really pan out, quite honestly, and that's what makes it very difficult. What's making this particular world build difficult, because you're talking about restoring an entire world, and you're bringing people back into a world where I would say a majority of them is expecting to see buildings and cars and airplanes and everything, the status quo, or at least 3,700 years into the future status quo. And instead, they're going to be waking up to a primitive world. And when you don't have any layer of civilization, like for example, United States not having the U.S. Constitution because the Constitution is completely wiped out, and you need somebody who has good memory that remembers all that all that was written in the United States Constitution, as well as other, and that's just a sample. That's just a sample because there's over 500 countries in this planet, each with its own rules, countries, and so on. And it's kind of insane how the author Inagaki and his illustrator Boichi are going to pull this off, really, because you're talking about billions of surviving people. Let's start off with the fact that we're talking about billions of surviving people who are either buried underwater or sitting in some awkward place where they could fall to their doom, or they'll never come out alive. Like if okay, like they found Tsukasa's sister buried, and nobody knows how really the range is, and you gotta look for the bodies. That means you gotta dig and find these stone bodies and hope that they're not busted up permanently, because if they're busted up permanently and get oxidized, they can't be restored. Say there's a short frame of time, and then when they wake up, how do you how you gonna have a bunch of ambitious people looking to not just start civilization, but most likely will try and engage in enslaving civilization. Not only that, but the maps are gone too. The maps are gone, and big question is how are you gonna draw the lines again, because nobody's gonna live under a one world government. Humanity doesn't have that. It's too tribal for that. So I think what probably probably be the laziest thing is that once Senku solves everything, they're just gonna time skip into the future and not dwell on it, and that's fine. That's fine. Say for in this instance here, because there's so many variables. There's so much to human nature that has to be expressed. That's not very easy to like pull off like a One Piece. In One Piece, the world is already set, and you just explore to the next world, and you can just do whatever you want. But here, you're talking about Earth, our Earth, the whole concept of our Earth, and you're trying to rebuild humanity and human civilization with billions of people, um, with basically a lot of things lost from the arts and film, music, to everything, and then trying to deal with figure out bureaucracy. That's a daunting task to do for a story. So um if this was skipped, if it ended with a time skip, if Inagaki decides to end it with a time skip, I would say that's okay for writing, for a writer. Don't As a writer, I would say don't do too much. Don't turn your world build into a project. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta tell the story. You gotta be able to tell your story first and foremost, and get people interested. People will root for it and everything. And if you turn it into a project, you're not gonna enjoy it. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna forget certain things that you established, rules that you established, and you're gonna end up uh, either damaging either damaging your world, or you're going to create plot holes that can anger your audiences, because then you have to fill in the hole and you could create contradictions on top of contradictions. So usually, so for this kind of instance, I would say it's perfectly fine, to do a time skip, like have Senku solve the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he gets the cure, everything is secured and everything, and humanity can start the healing process, the restoration process, and you could just time skip it. You know what I'm saying? And and viewers will get it. It's like, yeah, it's you know what I'm saying? As long as the time skip is very, very far ahead into the future, not the immediate future, like 20 years or 30 years, because that's not gonna work. We're talking like maybe 500 years. Just time skip to 500 years. That's more than enough time for human civilization to jumpstart, and what I'm saying, to be fully restored, and you get a statue of Senku in the middle of Tokyo, heralded as a world hero. Because I really don't want, me personally, I don't want to see how they're going to get people out of the ocean, how they're going to dig them out of the mountains and underground and everything. The implications are very gruesome if he tries to do a one size fits all, undoing, because that's what it looks like in from what I've seen so far, is the direction he's gonna go. Like, he's gonna do it all in one shot rather than person to person, and there are too many people who whose stone bodies are either face down underground, literally underground, or under the water or something, and so on. And it's like, yeah, that's gonna be very bad when they wake up and found themselves drowning. Yeah. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they're gonna rebuild the world this coming season of Doctor Stone, and how much more tech they're going to build to help help with the revitalization. All right, so those are my storytelling thoughts. Those are my thoughts on the world build of Doctor Stone. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. Oh, and just so you know, he's not Doctor Stone. He's not called Doctor Stone. Doctor Stone is the name of the stone. He gave the name for soap. Because being that he and Taiji woke up 3,700 years into the future, new diseases might have been developed over that time, and he took account into that fact that their immune system, their 20th century immune systems, 21st century immune systems may not be good. So that's why it's called Dr. Stone, because it was that soap that kept Senku and Taiju from getting sick in the new world, and allowed them to do all the science stuff to begin the restoration. All right, so thank you all for joining me. I wish you all and make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Your thoughts on Dr. Stone, most definitely, your thoughts, comment down below, and share your thoughts on Dr. Stone and what you think of rebuilding a world build. All right, so with that said, I wish you all a good night, buenas noches, and oiso minasai.